Scotty, can I ask you first of all, what was your initial reaction when you read this script?
Well, I remember just being amazed at what he was taking on. It was such a fantastic story, such a classical story about a young man coming of age and finding something to fight for. The scale of the story was just amazing to me, and I knew that only Jim Cameron could take this on and pull it off, actually.
And it's been 30 years since you first did Alien. Were you worried about the comparisons, though, given that it was James Cameron involved again, slightly similar character, although not really? Were you worried about jumping back into sci-fi?
Not at all, actually. I've missed sci-fi. I've done so many different kinds of films and actually very few science fiction films. So I was delighted to go back into this genre, which is a moviegoer. I just love to go to a faraway world, you know. And I think that I find Grace, much more of an academic than Ripley, who's in a way, she's like a good Quaritch. She's like a soldier and an enlisted person. And so Grace for me was a challenge because she's an academic. She's a science wonk. She's a driven person who's, frankly, in a very morally ambiguous position because she needs the money from this enterprise that she loathes to be able to go onto Pandora and be who she is. I think she's more Grace than on Pandora as her avatar than anywhere else. You see the real Grace flowering, her playful self, her warm self, her maternal self, and really in the course of this story, Jake teaches her that she can't sort of have both anymore. She has to take a stand.
She has to choose, really.
She does.
Still a very strong female character, though, and James Cameron's known for those. Are you attracted to those sort of roles as an actress?
Well, I think that character is action. It's I'm not very interested in movies where people do a lot of talking. I'm much more interested in movies where they do interesting things, and I think character is much more about. I think action is, this kind of heroism is much more about character than it is about gender. It doesn't surprise me that Jim writes these fabulous women's parts. He's able as a man to see how capable and fierce women are in the real world. And I know that Trudy, for instance, is based on a young woman pilot who actually helped, dove bombed him into the Antarctic on a scientific mission. So, I think he reflects what's really going on in the world, and I think it's a great privilege to play women as they really are, which I think is strong and complicated and intelligent and fascinating.
What about the technology in this movie? I mean, that's like nothing else that's ever come before it. How was it getting used to acting with that technology?
Yeah, it was much easier to get used to this technology than I expected. When I started out, there was this very, very tall man in an alien suit, which at least gave me a lot to react to as an actor. Then there was this long period of time where I think there was green screen, which I think is hard for actors because you never know what they're going to put next to you actually. And especially the early CGI, I think, was really lame. So I was very relieved to suddenly be part of this revolutionary breakthrough, because what Jim created for the actors, first of all, he said this is a huge movie with a lot of special effects, but to me it's all about the emotional story between these people. And so he always made it clear that we were the focus of all of his attention. And in fact, except for wearing ears and a tail and a camera, we were very free in this empty stage. It was like being in an early rehearsal for a play.
Yes, is it like the theatre?
Yeah, it was just between actors, moment to moment, and also Jim had this wild virtual camera where you could look and see what terrain you were in, the huge scale of the rainforest or the mountains or whatever, and actually see your Pandoran self walking through this landscape. And I found all the things he sort of gave us, these details, really great. You just would then use your imagination like a child would and be in this other place.
In particular, your avatar looks so much like you. Were you surprised when you saw it?
I was so surprised when I saw Grace, because I'd seen a kind of rendering. We'd all seen renderings of our avatars, and originally I think Grace looked much more lion-like. like the other Na'vi. And so I have to say that I was so shocked after going to so much effort, frankly, to transform myself as Grace with the red hair and all that stuff. Suddenly he makes my avatar look so much like me, except so much better because I'm much younger and bluer. But it was funny to me. I'm not sure I'm used to it, But what was nice is that, the technology is so amazing. It was very important to me playing Grace, who's sort of neurotic and armored at the base, that you see her really flower on Pandora. And I was delighted to see, because we started with motion capture, that it worked. It worked. You could really see Grace blossom in all her warmth and fun and playfulness. And I thought, wow, this is something else.
Brilliant. Thank you very much for your time.
My pleasure.
Thank
And
you.
it was so great to be in New
Yeah,
Zealand.
I didn't even